Well, good night, son.
Dad?
Yeah?
What is the mind? Is it just a system of impulses, or is it something tangible?
Relax. What is mind? No matter. What is matter? Never mind.
Thanks, Dad.
Good night, son.
Good night, Lisa.
Good night, Mom.
Sweet dreams.
Thanks, Mom.
Sleep tight.
I will, Mom.
Don't let the bed bugs bite.
Bed bugs?
Rock-a-bye, baby, in the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall. And down will come baby, cradle and all. Sweet dreams.
We may be the best parents in the world.
Good night, dear.
Good night.
Dad, what were you saying, Dad? I didn't get the thing about the brain or matter. Could you be more specific?
All right, climb in.
There's nothing to worry about. Now, everyone go to sleep. Good night.
They're coming just in time for Christmas. Are you ready for The Simpsons? Sunday, December 17th on Fox.
Guess what the Simpsons, America's funniest new family, are getting for Christmas?
Pantyhose.
No, their very own TV special.
Cool.
So make your Christmas wish.
Hey, Santa, what's shaking, man?
Get into the holiday spirit.
Jingle bells, Batman snow, frozen way. Don't kill me, Dad.
And join them for a night of laughs on the Simpsons Christmas special.
Homer and I are looking forward to your visit.
Tonight at 7:30 on Fox 29.
This Christmas, The Simpsons, America's funniest new family, are giving the perfect gift.
Pantyhose.
No, their TV special is back.
Cool.
So whether you missed it the first time,
Hey, Santa, what's shaking, man?
or you want to laugh again,
Jingle bells, Batman snow, frozen way. Don't kill me, Dad.
be sure to treat yourself to this hilarious encore performance.
Homer and I are looking forward to your visit.
The Simpsons Christmas Special, tonight.
The Simpsons is brought to you by Apple Cinnamon Cheerios. Listen to the sounds of a whole new O. And by Coca-Cola Classic. You can't beat the feeling.
Sitcom, all ye faithful, a Christmas podcast special where I discuss 25 Christmas sitcom Come and listen every day until Christmas. I'm sure we'll feature Fonzie, the Bradys, and Steve Urkel, Dunder Mifflin, Mayberry, and definitely Alf. We'll definitely talk about Alf.
Happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome back to Sitcom, All Ye Faithful, where today I watched Season 1, Episode 1, Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire of The Simpsons. Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire, the first ever Simpsons episode, originally titled The Simpsons Christmas Special. It was the series premiere of The Simpsons. Folks, yesterday I watched an episode from season 33 of The Simpsons, and this is the series premiere. It debuted December 17th, 1989. Now, I read something that this actually wasn't supposed to be the series premiere. There was another episode they had planned, but because of some animation issues, that episode had to be pushed back, and this one was the one that premiered. And it kind of works because The Simpsons already getting a Christmas special seems weird to some people who think, well, wait, this is the first episode. Why are they already getting a Christmas special? Well, my friends, The Simpsons, although this was their first episode of a 33-year and running series, the Simpson family themselves debuted a couple years earlier in the Tracey Ullman show. And you can say, what? Like, most of you probably know this, but some of you might not. The Tracey Ullman show was like a sketch comedy show, and sometimes before commercial break or after commercial break, they would break into these animated shorts featuring The Simpsons. And they were, like, if you watch this episode, you can look at what it looks like now, you feel like it looks really crude. But this was even, like, cruder. The voices were even a little more cruder. But you'd get these little skits with this family. I don't even know if they had names all at first. But then Fox gave them their own show. They premiered with this Christmas episode. And the rest, as they say, is history. Now, The Simpsons, to me, it was at the perfect time that this show started. Think about it, 1989. I am in 8th grade. So I just remember Simpsons and Bart Mania. The show, yes, was a huge hit. But I remember also the one thing that sticks in my head were these Don't Have a Cowman shirts. And I'm not talking official shirts. I'm talking like shirts that are made, black market bootleg shirts. And I remember seeing these on my trip to Washington, D.C. We took our 8th grade trip to Washington, D.C., and these shirts were everywhere. You could buy them. And Bart looked just a little different. This was really early on when Bart was the star. Not that Bart still isn't, quote-unquote, the star of the show, but he was really the highlighted character, where as the years go by, Homer became, the biggest, the most, I don't know, the most memorable, the most quotable, the best character, where back in 89, it's, hey, I'm Bart Simpson, who the hell are you? We got that right in this first episode, and Don't Have a Cow, man. And another one I forgot was Quit It, that happened in this episode. So this, and I think about that when I think about The Simpsons. And I think about watching it in my parents' room, because they had the phone in their room, and I think I was talking to my friend Billy, and we had it on. Either we had it on or we had to get off the phone to go watch it.
And my parents had this little television in their room. And when I say little television, I mean the screen was like 6 inches or something. Like it was the size of your hand, I would say. If like you had a big hand, you put your fist, if you put your palm out, you could probably cover the whole screen. It was like a portable television that you could bring with you anywhere. And it was battery operated in case you lost power. And we're such a television family. Well, if we lost power, what are we going to do? Talk to each other? So it was one of these little TVs, but they kept it in their room. And because we didn't have you just didn't have TVs everywhere and cable everywhere. So this had rabbit ears. It was a small screen, but when I tell you it was the size of like a VCR, like it had a handle and you had to carry this thing. You needed 2 arms to carry it. It was humongous for this little screen of, over the air television. And I remember just getting the Fox channel in just good enough with the antenna that I could watch it in there sometimes. That, and then I do remember this specific episode because we were already familiar with the Tracey Ullman show. I'm in 8th grade. My brother's in high school. So we're old enough to be like, oh, we know it's coming. We know it's happening. All these, we were probably watching Married with Children and seeing commercials for The Simpsons or Tracey Ullman and seeing The Simpsons are getting their own show. And I remember being upstairs. We had a room. We called it the spare room. It was just, I just called it the spare room. I didn't realize it's a spare room, but it was like, oh, it's a spare room. And it was kind of where we hung out upstairs. Like it had the TV, had the VCR, had a stereo and a record player. It became the computer room. It had our video games in there. And mind you, this isn't a big room, but it was like we packed everything in there as well as we could. So it was I guess you could say the upstairs den. But I remember we had the couch and the chair. If I remember correctly, I'm on the chair, my brother's on the couch, and we watched The Simpsons Christmas special. And now it's called, Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire. And for some reason, even going into watching it, I thought, oh, this is an hour-long episode. This was like a double episode special. Nope, just a regular episode. I completely misremembered that. I just always thought this was a long double episode. Very wrong, very wrong. So, a couple things to note. Mr. Burns, I know Harry Shearer didn't voice Mr. Burns early on, so he sounded very different. But everybody sounded different. It almost, if you go back and watch this first episode, and probably the first few episodes, it might be even the first season, it feels like the actors haven't quite grasped the voices that they're going to stick with for decades. And that's the crazy thing. I mean, all these people are there, and they're still there. I think the only one, like Phil Hartman isn't there yet, rest in peace. And the woman who played Maude Flanders from the Bob Newhart show, I can't remember her name. She wasn't featured in this episode, but just about at least all the voices that we heard are still there now. I think 33 years later, but they just sound a little different. It's almost like you hear the first. I was thinking like this sounds like people trying to do The Simpsons and they can't quite get the voices right, but they sound kind of like The Simpsons, like people doing impressions. But it's just funny to see what was and what becomes, and they're a multi-billion-dollar franchise, I would say at this point. And I know people are like, well, the show jumped the shark. The show's not as good anymore. This, that, oh, blah, blah, blah. I still enjoy it. I watch it on Hulu pretty much, the day after. I'll watch it with breakfast on a Monday. Do I watch it on Sunday nights? Do I DVR it? No, I don't even have it on my VCR, on my TV. I very rarely watch it there. I always watch it on Hulu now. But I still watch it. And I'm trying to think, have I seen every episode? I don't know if I have. I'm sure there are some within the last 10 years where I didn't have a DVR and I wasn't watching it and I never caught up. Like the early 2000s. I feel like I might have missed a few there. And, or the, maybe not the early 2000s, maybe the mid 2000s. I don't know. My God, that's 20 years ago now, some of it. That's crazy. And just The Simpsons have always well, for me, they haven't always been there. They started when I was a teenager, but like they've been a part of my life for the majority of my life. And for people, under the age of 35, 33, The Simpsons have just always been there. It's probably to the point now with like, oh, that's some old thing that my parents watched. I mean, that's what you think you're seeing now, which is crazy when you think about it. Like it's an animated series. Was this the first like feature animated like primetime animation show since like the Flintstones and maybe the Jetsons? Were the Jetsons primetime too? I don't know. I didn't do any research. I just watched the show and I love it. And it was so great to go back. And I love that Disney Plus has all these now. A lot of people bought the DVDs when they first came out. And those were great when that happened. But now they have these DVDs, on a shelf or in their basement. And they're just watching on Disney Plus. I remember people complaining the Disney Plus ratio wasn't right because some were in HD, some weren't. Or some were, they were cropped to look like they're in HD, the wrong ratio. But luckily what I saw, everything seemed to be A-okay as far as the visual, for a thing that's 33 years old, that wasn't HD, that was animated. It looked pretty good when I watched half of it on my computer, half of it on my phone. The Simpsons Holiday Special. It starts off with Homer and Marge going to a Christmas pageant, so we don't even actually see Lisa right away because her performance is like coming out in like a mask and doing like this dance, and it was almost like making Lisa look like she was weird, or like she's peculiar. Not that she was this, perfect goody two-shoes, smart girl that she kind of became later on. And we have Bart as part of the choir. And, of course, everyone's, singing Jingle Bells. And and they're like, look how good he is up there. And he's like, Jingle Bells, Batman smells. Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile lost a wheel. And the Joker something. And that's been around for a long time, right? That wasn't invented by Bart Simpson, right? No, I don't think so. I think that was just one of those things that a kid of Bart's age would do. And he gets in trouble. He gets pulled out, and you see Homer and Marge are like embarrassed of what Bart did. And that's just kind of the Bart Simpson that we knew then. He was like this, this little troublemaker. But we do see Skinner, and we see the music teacher. We see Ralph Wiggum, though he sounds different. Like we see faces, and the voices aren't quite all there yet, but we people are, start to look familiar. Or the characters, like we're seeing familiar characters, but it's not quite what we're used to just yet. We cut back to the Simpsons house, and we see Homer trying to get Christmas stuff ready with lights, and just kind of frustrated with all these lights being all were they all like bunched up? Yeah, they're all bunched up in a giant ball of lights. And meanwhile, Marge is getting the Christmas letter ready to send out to everybody. And she's just kind of making it seem a little better than what it actually is. Talking about Lisa. And Bart, well, we love Bart. And Homer, he's doing well too. And he's all frustrated with, the lights. Marge asks Lisa and Bart what they want for Christmas. All Lisa wants is a pony, a pony, a pony, a pony, a pony. And Bart wants a tattoo because they're cool and they last forever. And she's like, you got to tell your son he can't get a tattoo. And I think, was it there when Homer's like, you're not getting a tattoo for Christmas. If you want a tattoo, you got to pay for it yourself. He's like, cool. We get our first glimpse of Selma. I think it was Selma or Patty. She calls the house to talk to Marge about coming to visit for Christmas, and you can already see that that Homer hates the sisters, and the sisters don't like Homer either. But again, it's all Julie Kavner, and just the voice again a little different than what we're used to. We cut outside and we see Homer is hanging up Christmas lights, and he falls off the house, which was pretty funny. Like I'm just looking at it now. As he falls off the house. He just has this look on his face, but he's all excited to light up the lights. And once he actually gets them lit, there's like 4 bulbs that turn on. They're like, oh, Well, way to go, Dad. What a disappointment. And they look over, and there's the Flanders house, and it is perfect. And Ned is not, the Ned Flanders we know yet. He's just like, right now, he's like the perfect, neighbor. He's like, he's got the perfect family. He's got the perfect Christmas lights. He's got all these gifts. He's got the perfect sons. We don't know Rod and Todd yet. It's just these little glimpses of these characters. The next morning, Marge wants to bring Bart and Lisa and Maggie Christmas shopping. They go to the mall with money that Marge has been saving all year. She doesn't want to show Homer where she hides the Christmas money because she saves it all year just for Christmas. So Homer looks away, and Marge takes this giant jar of money out of her hair. And he's like, oh, there's a lot of money there. There's a lot of money. She's like, I don't know how you do it. She goes, I have my ways. I have my secrets. So they go to the mall, and all we see is Bart. Like all these kids are staring at trains and toys, and Bart is staring at a tattoo parlor. We cut over to the Springfield nuclear plant where we now know that Homer works there. I don't think it was ever decided or brought up in the shorts. Homer does look like Homer here. There are tweaks to the animation and stuff, but he looks more like Homer here than in the shorts. He looked very different. But he's at the nuclear plant, and this is where we see and hear Mr. Burns for the first time. Looks pretty much the same, sounds very different, and he comes over the speaker. There's no Smithers, and he's like, "Everyone, keep working while I make this announcement." So I was going to do a Mr. Burns, but he doesn't sound like that. He sounds a little different. So basically, everyone's just doing eating donuts. No one's paying attention to what he's actually saying. That he's telling them to keep working. And he's like, we had a great year this year. Everyone's safe. We didn't have any major meltdowns. We were able to save money for the consumer, but we don't have any Christmas bonuses this year. There's no Christmas bonuses, so Merry Christmas. So he was all adamant about using his Christmas bonus to help get something special for the family. Now, and he's all disappointed about that. Something with Christmas bonuses. Chevy Chase in Christmas Vacation didn't get his Christmas bonus. That was in a different podcast. Al Bundy didn't get his Christmas bonus, and now Homer Simpson didn't get his Christmas bonus this year. And Archie Bunker. Archie Bunker didn't get his Christmas bonus. There's a lot of Christmas bonuses for the working class male of the 60s, 70s, 80s. So we cut back to the mall, and Marge is literally carrying around that jar of money. Ready to buy some stuff for the family and do the Christmas shopping. But they're like, where's Bart? And they look over, and there's Bart in the chair at the tattoo parlor. I forgot to mention, he goes to the tattoo parlor, and he goes, he would like a tattoo, please. And he's like, wait a minute, how old are you? 21. Get in the chair. He didn't even ask. He just let the guy get in the chair. He was getting a tattoo that said mother. Bart had this dream that he was like, that his mother was going to be like, oh my goodness, Bart, that is the most wonderful tattoo ever. It shows how much you love me. And it shows how tough you are, like how dangerous you are. So inside the same mall, she grabs Bart before he can even finish the tattoo, walks over a few doors down to a tattoo removal place. And the guy's like, we can remove this tattoo, but it is very expensive, and we take cash up front. And she looks at her jar of money and realizes, welp, this is what I got to do to get rid of the tattoo. So she uses all the cash to shoot the tattoo. Now, Bart loved getting the tattoo, and he loves getting it removed because the guy's like, these are very high, very strong lasers. He's like, cool. Because you don't want them near your eyes. I think he said, or your crotch. You just want to be careful. And they shoot, next thing you see, the next shot is Bart at home with a bandage. And this is where Lisa and Maggie are touching the wound, I guess, the bandage, the surgery, whatever you want to call it, the scars, and he going, quit it, quit it, ow, quit it. And it was just quit it, over and over, and I realized that was a thing. And I don't know if that was like, there were Bart Simpson plush dolls. Did he say quit it in that? I feel like that was, there was Don't Have a Cow, Cowabunga, I'm Bart Simpson, who the hell are you? But I feel like quit it was one of those too. So Homer comes home and notices the scar, and they're like, oh, Bart had a tattoo, and we had to use all the Christmas money to get rid of it. And he looks over at Marge, and the jar is empty. He's like, oh, my goodness, we're ruined. Christmas is ruined. She's like, no, we'll just have to stretch your Christmas bonus a little further this year. It'll be fine. He's like, oh, yes, right. Christmas bonus. Yes, I was mistaken. Christmas will be fine. I forgot. And so he goes and just kind of like goes outside, for a second, looks at his house with like 3 lights, looks at the Flanders house with all these perfect lights, and then just kind of stands there in the snow at the end of his driveway, puts his head down, and it fades out. It was like kind of sad. It was kind of depressing, kind of touching, like a little like real emotion that Homer really wants to give his family a good Christmas. And he was relying on the money they saved and the Christmas bonus for them to get, something nice this year. But instead, the next morning, he's like, you know what, Marge, I have a wish. I want to go Christmas shopping. I'll do the Christmas shopping. So he takes the list from Marge. He's like, great. Goes to the store, and all he does is try to buy, like, the least expensive stuff. So at least they have something. So he's like, oh, pantyhose for Marge. Oh, a chew toy for Maggie. Like, all these, like, it's a dog toy, but she won't know the difference. She can't read. So he buys all these little gifts that fit into one bag, leaves the department store, and crashes right into Flanders with one of his kids. I'm going to say Todd. I don't know, maybe Rod. And they have all these gifts that are perfectly wrapped. And he goes, oh, I'm sorry, Homer. He goes, oh, we had a little mistake there. Let's see, which one were yours and which were mine? Oh, that one's mine. That one's mine. That one's mine. And Homer goes, they're all yours. Oh, I see. Well, Merry Christmas. And Homer looks at his big gift, and he's just really depressed. And I feel like the Homer years later would be like, oh, I think that one's mine, and that was mine, and try to steal some. But he's like, they're all yours, Flanders. And Homer's depressed, so the next thing you see is he goes to Moe's. We see Moe for the first time, and Homer's drinking, depressed. And, Moe gives him a candy cane to try to make him feel better. And then Barney shows up. Barney shows up dressed up as Santa, and Homer's like, what are you doing? He goes, I'm a part-time Santa down at the department store, getting paid to be Santa. And Homer's like, oh, my God, that's a great idea. So he goes down to the department store, tries to, apply for the job. And like, do you like kids? He's like, all the time? Oh, I mean, yes, kids are wonderful. He goes, okay, now you have to go through our training course. And the training course was pretty funny. Everyone's dressed as Santa in the classroom, and they're going, ho, 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 reciting it. And there's a guy dressed like a professor at the front with a stick, a pointing stick, pointing at the board, ho, 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 having them read it over and over and over. And then Homer had to recite all the reindeer, and then the professor sits on all their laps, so he sits on Homer's lap, and he's kind of a jerk to Homer, and he goes, why, you? Like the old classic where he wants to choke Bart. But he's like, no, Homer, you have to be nice to me. Oh, yes, I was only kidding. Yes. So Homer goes home, and she's like, oh, you're late. Where have you been? He's like, I need to just go upstairs and take a bath. Like he's really wiped. And she goes, oh, but Patty and Selma are here. And while he's like, he's on the chair, the stairs, we see the back of him. And he just like, he puts his head down. He's like, from them being there, which was just a kind of a great moment. And he comes down, and the kids are there, and they're like, Dad's here, because they didn't want to be with Patty and Selma. They're all hugging. They're all excited to see Dad and not Patty and Selma, basically. And Patty and Selma don't like seeing Homer, and Homer does not like seeing them. So Patty and Selma actually make a comment about there being no tree, and Homer's like, well, I was just out to get one. So he and the kids want to go, and he's like, can we go? He's like, no. And he goes by all these tree farms, all trees, $75, slightly irregular tree. And then he just keeps driving. He goes into the woods and chops down a tree from some guy's house. The dogs are chasing him. Shots are being fired. He steals his tree, brings it home. And Patty and Selma are like, what? Why is there a birdhouse in the tree? And he's like, it's an ornament. Don't worry about it. The next day, we're at the mall or the department store, wherever Homer's working, and he's got a little kid in his lap, and the kid's eating a donut, and Homer asks for part of the donut. He's like, can I have part of the, can you give Santa a little bite? So he takes a bite of the donut as the photo's being taken. It says, Merry Christmas. And I notice in this, it says Merry Christmas, Merry Xmas from Santa, and Merry is spelled M-E-R-R-I-E. What? Is that ever a thing? That's like a name. Isn't that someone's name, Mary? Like that? That's crazy. So while this is happening, we look, up on the second floor of the mall, we see Bart, Milhouse, and is it Franklin? I don't know who the other kid's name is. But they're like, oh God, look at those kids, they can't believe they're sitting on Santa's lap. What do they think they're doing? Like, maybe we should go down and, and have a little fun with it. So Bart goes down and sits on his lap, and he goes, hello there, little boy. What's your name? He's like, I'm Bart Simpson. Who the hell are you? And he's like, I'm Santa Claus. He goes, I don't think so. He pulls the beard down, and he sees that it's his dad. He's like, what? And he's like, get over here. He brings him into this little work shed. He goes, listen, I didn't get my Christmas bonus. He tells him, I didn't get my Christmas bonus, so I'm working to try to get you guys something for Christmas. And Bart actually says something really nice. He's like, the fact that you do something this crummy for us shows how much you love us. Like, the fact that you take such a crummy job shows how much you love us. And he's like, thanks, Bart. You're a good boy. They go together to get their paycheck because I guess you get paid only on Christmas Eve. He's like, come on, Bart, let's go spend our $13 after taxes and fees, including training course, the suit rental. And it was like, there was all these dumb fees that was taken off. He ended up with $13. He's like, $13. And Barney goes by. He's like, $13. He's all excited. Come on. Why are you all excited? We're going to the track. We're going to take this money and we're going to turn it into something big. I have a no risk, idea for this dog that's going to be the winner. No chance. We're definitely going to do it. So they go to Springfield Downs. It's the Greyhound racing, and there's the dog there that's definitely going to win. And Barney puts all his money on that. And Homer's like, oh, that little dog. And then you hear there's a new dog being added to the race, Santa's Little Helper. And Homer's like, oh my God, it's a sign. And they're like, Bart's like, I don't know about this. And so he goes to the window, goes, what's the odds of Santa's Little Helper? He's like, 99 to 1. He's like, oh my goodness, you know how much money we'd win? Put it all on Santa's Little Helper. And of course, Santa's Little Helper comes in dead last. And it's very funny, like the race ends, and then Homer and Bart are sitting there, and they go, well, at least let's wait to see our dog finish. And then it's just silence for like 10 seconds. Who cares? Let's go. I thought they were going to say, okay, he's done. But they didn't even, he was so slow that they didn't even wait to see him finish. So while this is going on, back at the house, they're waiting for Homer. Where is he? Oh, he said he'd be home late, when Patty and Selma are bad-mouthing him. And then Lisa says something really nice. She's like, he's my father, and you shouldn't bad-mouth him because I look up to him, and I see him as, like, the ideal man. And if you're telling me that that's wrong, then you're also insulting me. And they're like, go in the other room and watch your cartoons. So Bart and Homer are really depressed, kind of leaving the track. They're looking for tickets, looking for any winning tickets that might be on the ground. Barney goes by and is like, hey, guys, I told you, no, big winner. And he's in a convertible with a woman, and he's leaving. He's having a wonderful Christmas. So they head back to the car, and you hear this guy yelling, get out of here, you dog. That's the last time you're ever going to come in last place. And you see this dog, Santa's Little Helper, running. And they're running toward Homer. And Homer's like, no, get out of here. And the dog jumps right in Homer's arms. He's like, I don't want this stinking dog. What do I want this dog for? You're so... And it licks Homer and looks at him. He's like, oh, you're so cute. So they go home, and Homer's about to tell everyone, look, I'm sorry, about the Christmas bonus. I want to tell you. He was going to tell the truth about everything and how he couldn't provide for them something for Christmas. And then Homer goes, hey, everybody, look what we got for Christmas. And it's the dog, Santa's Little Helper, and the family loves it. Lisa, Maggie, Marge is like, oh, my goodness, this is the best Christmas ever that you did this. So Christmas was saved because they saved this dog. And Santa's Little Helper is still there. This is the origin story of Santa's Little Helper. This is the origin story of how they got their dog. So what's funny is this wasn't supposed to be the first episode. So I don't know what order it's in, but I wonder if the episodes that were supposed to come before it, there was no dog, and then all of a sudden the dog's there. That'd be funny to go back and watch. But Santa's Little Helper is not always highlighted, so it's not a big deal if you wouldn't see him in an episode. But that's saying that he probably was always kind of walking. You'd see him in the house somewhere. And we also hear about Snowball 2. Now, I think, are we still at Snowball 2? I know Snowball, their cat died, and they got Snowball 2. I don't know if there was like some weird episode where they either got a new Snowball 2, a Snowball 3, or I forget. I don't know what they're on now. But Santa's Little Helper has been there forever, and this is basically his origin story. So they all, we get a Merry Christmas-like photo of all of them petting the dog, and then all of them singing Christmas carols around Grandpa playing the piano. Grandpa's there. He's old. He's like, oh, what? Oh, but he's not like senile or weird or funny. He's just kind of an old guy there. And the snow falls and the episode ends, and that's it. That's the end of our episode. That's the end of the Christmas Simpsons roasting on an open fire. The Simpsons Christmas special. And I don't know if they renamed it later in life. I'm not sure, but I'm really glad that I went back and watched this. It's a half-hour comedy that was on primetime, so to me that counts as a sitcom, and I make the rules, so what's the difference, right? Yeah, just a fun revisit. It's especially after watching the most recent episode, 33 years later, or 32 seasons later, whatever you want to say. It's crazy when you think about it. But that's it, my friends. We are closing in on our final days, and they're all locked in. There's no going back. My days are set. I have a special guest coming on for tomorrow's episode, and then we got something cooked up specifically for the 23rd. I got the 24th all locked in, and the 25th is a go. And even more excitedly, I'm on vacation now. I'm on vacation until I believe it's called 2022. Yeah, I might do a little bit of work today, but technically I don't have to do a thing. And after that, bing, bang, boom, I'm done. Oh, to not have... Now, look, I've been working from home for well over a year and a half now. So the commute, it used to be like, oh, I don't have to go to Boston. Wonderful. Mwah. Now it's like, oh, I don't have to log in to work and check my work. Okay, well, there's at least that. And I was thinking, there's so much I want to do during my vacation. By that, I mean so much I want to watch. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of Christmas specials, so it'll be interesting to watch things that aren't specifically Christmas related. But that's not now. That's later on. Right now, it's all Christmas, baby. I hope you're having a great Christmas season. I hope you have a great week as we wind up or wind down and we get closer to the big, big day. Hope you've all been good boys and girls. And I'll talk to you again tomorrow. All right, my friends? Until then, you can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Geek Mentality. The website is fansnotexperts.com. The Facebook page is Fans Not Experts. The podcast is Geek Mentality. We're available everywhere podcasts are available. If you listen to us on Spotify, I believe now or pretty soon you can start rating us. Give us little ratings. Boom. Give us some ratings. It'll help us out. It'll help me out, I'm trying to feed my family. No, that has nothing to do with it. I guess it makes the podcast more visible if more people give it higher ratings, I guess. I don't know. And we can't be any less visible. So every little bit helps. Until tomorrow, my friends, here is my theme song. This is my podcast. I made it. Geek Mentality's what I named it. And I think you should listen and subscribe, 'cause I'm kinda funny and awesome. I think that I'm worth your time, and I'm kinda handsome. My mom says, please listen and please subscribe. At least listen to this episode. Fans Not Experts.